What is going on, everybody? It is Lucas, your host for the Kitchen Table Podcast. I would like to formally welcome you to the very first episode entitled Take Off. Now, this is our very first episode, as you can probably tell. So, if things get a little wonky, I mess up here and there, please forgive me. But let's roll that beautiful intro. And once again, welcome back to the Kitchen Table Podcast. I am your host, once again, Lucas Starr. So, this is the first episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast, and this is not my first attempt at this episode, or my first attempt at a podcast. This is my second attempt at a podcast, and it's something that I've really, really, really wanted to do um, for years. Years and years and years, honestly, I feel like. Um, but I always felt like either the time wasn't right or things were going on in my life to where I couldn't get a podcast up every week or every other week. As far as the schedule for this podcast, I'd like to do one once a week, but I don't know for sure if that's what's going to happen. Um, I'm shooting for every week, once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on kind of what's going on in the world. If there's any major news or anything like that that I feel like talking about, I will do an emergency podcast. You guys will know more about what those are here hopefully soon. Well, not hopefully soon, because I don't ever want to do like emergency podcast, I guess. But um, one second, there we go. So yeah, this is the Kitchen Table Podcast. Welcome again. I love talking. It's a gift and a curse, as Adrian Monk would say. Um, I love talking, and as I mentioned before, this isn't my first attempt at a podcast. I did have a podcast previously called The Crazy or Stupid Show with Lucas Starr, which I felt kind of down in my heart that could only go so far, because I felt that I could only do stories about things that were crazy or stupid, that made me crazy or stupid. Kind of, just an example of when I broke my leg, which we'll discuss that here in a future episode, which is coming up on the third anniversary of breaking my leg. Um, I didn't take any pain medication when I broke my leg. So I, I was like, does that make me crazy or does it make me stupid? And like I said, I didn't want to just continuously have to have those kind of episodes. And I want to bring guests on. I want to have my cousin Kevin. I want to have my friends Trav and Dustin from the Bearded Bro Show, and I want to have just all these people like guests. And I felt like I said, I felt like it had to be a certain shtick for those podcasts, and I didn't want to do that. So I've had the name The Kitchen Table in my mind for probably a year and a half. I was originally going to call my Crazy or Stupid Show The Kitchen Table, but I don't know. It was the pandemic, so I figured it would be hard to get guests. Kind of with things kind of slowing down in a way. I feel like it'll be a little bit easier to get guests, and it'll be a little bit easier to just do all that kind of stuff. Also, this podcast is way off schedule. I had planned to launch this in July, but things happened in July that, or not in July, but well, yeah, I guess in the end of July and into August, things had happened to where I couldn't, I wouldn't have been able to record. Well, I guess I would have, but we'll talk more about that in another episode. I would have been able to record, but I wouldn't have been able to take all my stuff. It was just a really weird thing. So here we are. This is September 15, and this is the very first episode of the Crazy or Stupid podcast. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited. This is going to be a very short episode, I assume, because I don't have anything to talk about. I'm just kind of introducing you guys to the show. I just want this to get out there, kind of make a little bit of a name for myself. I know that's not going to work, right off the bat, but, hey, you never know. My favorite saying in the entire world is the only thing for sure is nothing's for sure. And that was actually gonna be another idea that I had for a podcast. Actually, I guess this could be kind of like a podcast idea episode. I guess now that I think about it, but I had the other idea was gonna be called the Only Thing for Sure podcast, and it was gonna end with me saying that nothing is for sure. But again, I felt like you had to kind of stick to certain topics and stuff like with that. So that's why I brought on the kitchen table. So the kitchen table, the origin of that name, comes from kind of my family, and I can remember as far back as I can remember in my brain that anytime that my family would talk about topics or anything, it would be at the kitchen table. And I can always remember my grandma and my grandpa, um, respectively, at their own kitchen tables in their own houses, just sitting there all day. And that's what they were. They would talk to people. They would do, phone calls. My grandpa would do business. My grandma would do her crossword puzzles and stuff like that. And I miss them both dearly. So this entire series will be dedicated to my grandma and grandpa, Oliver Wooten and Shirley Wooten, who I miss dearly with all my heart. But this will be this entire show. I guess not this particular show, but every show I guess will be dedicated to them in a way. So yeah, and I just remember like we would always sit and talk at the kitchen table. Like I would talk to my grandma at the kitchen table. I talked to my grandpa, and even now, my mom will come home from work and my aunt will come home from work and we'll sit at the kitchen table and we will just discuss like what's going on in our lives. Like when I was in school, my mom would be like, "So how was school today?" And I'd be like, blah 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 blah. I asked my mom, "How's work?" Which gets into a whole crazy story, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm very excited for this podcast. I'm just so ecstatic to be doing this. Like I really love I love I love doing podcasts. So I hope you guys will join me along for the ride. Like I said, I have a few guests in mind. I have a few things that I want to do with this show. I have a bunch of ideas. We will definitely be doing some live shows in the future. I don't know when, but I definitely have on the docket. Is that what it is? Docket, the schedule, some whatever it's called. I don't know. Big words. Even though I have my bachelor's degree. I have a lot of ideas, and I just want to do live shows. I think that'll be something fun. Um, I had a dream actually one night that this podcast grew to where we were doing live shows kind of every night in different places, and then that would be like then I was taking like the best one from that week and posting it live. So I don't know, maybe dreams will come true. I am not sure, but yeah, let's talk about some other things that I want to talk about, which will be uh, if I get any interruptions. I stole this from Stone Cold's podcast. If I get any interruptions from my phone, emails, anything like that, we will have a virtual. I will owe you a cyber soda of your choosing. So, which will play into the live shows one day, I think. I don't know. This is just like really crazy things that I'm thinking about doing, and something that you probably will realize in the future is I think so far ahead with things. It's kind of it's crazy and stupid. There we go. There's a little plug for my old podcast that no longer exists, but um, I'm a big believer in planning things, and I like to plan for the future. Which right now is kind of crazy because right now I just graduated college. I graduated 2 weeks ago from college, and I've been waiting patiently and impatiently in a way for these jobs to get back to me. Um, I've filled out so many applications, and I'm one of those people who's really ready to work. And I talked about this in my vlog last night that I have I have so much like passion and energy for what I went to school for. I went to school for show production and touring with my specialty, because you don't really have majors where I go to school. But I specialized in lighting and video, and I really love doing both of those. So, you know, just emailing all these companies, and I'm constantly checking my email. At, like right now, I'm checking my email because I want to see if I got anything, and I haven't yet. And it's 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 frustrating in a way because like you just really, like for me, like I said, I have so much passion, I have so much energy, and I have so many ideas. Like I talked about this as well in my vlog. Like I have all these ideas for like stage ideas and lighting rigs and all this stuff, and I'm just like, guess I'll just start a band so that I can do these for myself, and which is technically not feasible because a lot of like I didn't realize this until like I realized it, but I didn't really realize it until I got like into school, like how much stuff costs and how much stuff you actually need. Like you can't just plug in, you know, moving headlights to a power strip and think that they'll work. You need power distros and all that good stuff. So, um, yeah, it's just a lot of things, a lot of ideas, and like I'm just ready to work. And as I said, I put my application into so many places. I feel like, and I just, it's to quote Jim Halpert, the hardest thing I ever had to do was wait, and that's what I did was wait. When he was talking about Pam. So yeah, I don't know. It's just the waiting game is the hardest. I was gonna I don't know why I just thought of this, but I was gonna say I was gonna start singing. The hardest part is waiting, but in the key, like in the sound of the first cut is the deepest by Sheryl Crow. I don't know why that came into my head, but it did. So yeah, but I don't know, guys. That's just like I said, I'm just very passionate about this, and I'm ready to do this podcast. It's another thing to do on my to do list, I guess, but um, it's kind of a also something to do while I wait for these jobs and stuff to come talk to me. And I just I'll probably post this and like start getting like billions, not hundreds of hits, and then I'm gonna have to like do that, and then I'm gonna also have a job or something like that. But I have a lot of ideas for this podcast, so I'm not gonna give them all away. But I know live shows, and I have another one that I want to do. That's kind of gonna be funny. It would be hard to do, but it'll be funny to do. And I'd like to get a bunch of guests on here. As I mentioned before, I know for sure Dustin and Trav. I would like to do a podcast, so Trav and Dustin, if you're listening to this, I would like to do a podcast with them separately, and I'd also like to do a podcast with them together. So, like, one with Dustin, one with Trav, and then one with them together, obviously. Just a lot of people that I'd like to get on the podcast. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say, guys. I know this is a short podcast because I started recording like 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, or I got the idea to start recording 20 minutes ago, rather, and I'm just like, let's go for it. And that's what we're doing. We're just going for it. I'm excited for this new venture. Hope you guys like the name. Like I said, it comes from like a long family kind of tradition. Thank you guys so much for watching. Um, So yeah, I guess that does it for the first episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast. Uh, this is where you can find me, other than here. I do daily vlogs on youtube.com/starvlogs. I do other random videos on youtube.com/LucasStar. I had to think there. youtube.com/LucasStar for other random videos, which I actually might go film a review today. I don't know. And then what else am I on? Twitter is at the LucasStar. Facebook is facebook.com/LucasStar. I'll put everything at the end of the video, and in the description of this podcast. So yeah, this is also going to be on YouTube as well. That's why I said that. So everything will be linked at the bottom. If you guys are watching, listening, whatever you guys are doing with this podcast, I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I know this was a quick episode, but I just kind of want to get my feet kind of in the off the ground. What is the term for that? I don't know. I wanted to get started with this, and this is kind of like a pilot takeoff episode. Which by the way, it's called a pilot because it's the takeoff to a series. I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah. If you guys have suggestions for what you guys want to hear me talk about, let me know, and I will do it for you guys. Hopefully, one day. And yeah, I would like to thank you guys so much for listening, watching, whatever you guys are doing. Again, I will see you guys next week. Thank you for sitting down with me at my kitchen table.